Welcome to New York. Late into my October trip, I find myself in Buffalo, New York, taking a look at a mall that appears to be on borrowed time. Join me and my guide, Ace's Adventures, as we take a walk around the McKinley Mall. But first, let's get a look inside Sears, which will have been slated for closure by the time you see this video.
Did you go to your art gallery during the day?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? The pastel, the light, man.
Oh, that place is like amazing.
Yeah, it's
And then right after that, you had Ocean Mall, which was yep.
Finding a Sears store without the big yellow signs of doom is becoming increasingly rare, as Fast Eddie continues to find ways, reasons, and excuses to close Sears and Kmart stores en masse. This particular Sears, however, has a very distinct event that some feel should be covered first and foremost. On the ground earlier, you may have noticed a piece of carpet that is discolored from the rest of the carpet. That is the spot where a woman was fatally stabbed by a male Niagara Falls resident in September 2019, neither of which I will personally name. The suspected murderer had apparently followed the woman to the McKinley Mall and attacked in the Sears. Police were able to apprehend the suspect several hours later, charging him with second-degree murder and assault with a weapon. The suspect in question had an apparent history of criminal charges, including a hit-and-run charge from the early 2000s. Although events like these are unlikely to happen, they can often foster a narrative that malls are unsafe and full of shady types. This particular story has been reported on by the media quite extensively and will worsen this mall's public image. Even I'm contributing to the amount of bad press on this mall. McKinley Mall is already ailing with the dwindling tenants, a lost Bon-Ton, and 2 dead spaces previously occupied by Macy's. I imagine this crime will only accelerate the mall's death. As for Sears itself, you can see that some departments have been scaled back. Electronics is no more, and the hardware department is looking a little sparse. It still remains as a decently stocked Sears, though. However, none of this seemingly matters anymore, as Fast Eddie has given the store the axe just weeks after my visit. Another Sears bites the dust. A shame, too, because this was the only store that I know of that had an axe service. We weren't lying. A bit spiffy of a place to get your axe sharpened, but there it is. Anyway, we're getting to the mall in just a moment, so let's get started with the mall's history, shall we? Zamaya Services entered the Buffalo market in 1985 when they built the McKinley Mall, signing on Sears, JCPenney, LL Burger, AM&A's, and Sibley's. Sibley's was the first department store to change, being acquired by the May Company in 1986, and in 1990 would be rebranded under the Kaufmann's nameplate. The second big change would come to LL Burger in 1991, when the company would have filed for bankruptcy. I can only presume that the store was closed outright, with Kaufmann's taking over the space as a secondary home store. The third change was in the form of AM&A's, The entire chain was acquired by Bon-Ton, and all AM&A stores would be rebranded into Bon-Ton. That includes the McKinley Mall location. Ownership of McKinley Mall would transfer from Zamias sometime in the 90s, to whom I am unsure of. There are hints that the mall changed from owner to owner over the years while the mall continued on, living a somewhat uneventful life otherwise throughout the early 2000s. 2006, though, the mall would see an influx of big box stores, which started with Best Buy and Bed Bath & Beyond. Barnes & Noble would come in later in 2008. All three stores having a mall entrance. Back in 2006, the Macy's nameplate would devour Kaufman's, keeping both the main store and the home store open. A renovation was cited in 2008, with updates going toward the center court by Bon-Ton, and possibly towards the food court as well, as these two areas stand out above the rest of the mall's general look. While I personally believe these renovations have weakened the mall, the updates would at least help maintain relevance to the mall and keep patrons coming back for a time. Once again, history is spotty, but things began to go wrong, starting with Macy's, whom left the McKinley Mall in 2016 amid lagging sales and bad performance. This left 2 anchor spaces vacant, and they would remain vacant as of the making of this video. Then, Bon-Ton folded alongside the rest of the company in 2018. That same year, Stoltz Management, the owners of McKinley Mall at the time, had come under fire for not paying up on their loan for the mall, and its appraised value would wind up being slashed. Ownership would then shift via receivership over to Woodmont, whom currently owns the mall as of the making of this video. Finally, while I was writing out the mall's timeline, Sears would promptly become seared in November 2019. You knew it was coming. Come 2020, Sears will finally be no more, leaving just JCPenney and the big box stores to keep it going, accompanied by a small cinema on the backside of the mall, an original tenant. The surrounding residents wait and wonder, what may come of the McKinley Mall's future? I personally believe that we are looking at the makings of a future dead mall. Occupancy may look decent now, but you can see the rot spreading throughout the mall. The Sears court is looking rather sparse, and both Macy's courts are almost completely gone. In addition, you can also see a lot of temporary walls meant to cover up dark storefronts. But are they fooling anyone? Unless management can find new uses for these spaces, I believe this mall is going to tank. However, this is Woodmont at the helm, and they have been able to keep Marley Station near Baltimore on its feet for a time, and they have been able to keep Military Circle out of complete ruin. So there is a possibility that they could make something work, at least in the short term. This is local mall of Ace's Adventures, and if you listen closely, you can hear him point out which store was which from time to time. If you wanted to know specifics about which tenant was where and which tenant might not be present anymore after this video, I am certain that he would have the answer for you. While here, Ace also mentions that the day we were there was among one of the busiest he has seen this mall in a while. You can see a decent amount of people in the mall, but I am told that this mall is usually never this busy anymore. Perhaps this mall gets decent traffic on the weekends, or maybe it was the Halloween weekend in particular. Perhaps other locals can verify to me how busy this mall typically gets nowadays in the comments below.
Main place mall, I don't understand. Who goes there besides business mall?
JCPenney is the last original anchor at this mall, and given that they are in their own sea of troubles, some may wonder if they'll leave this mall just like Sears and Macy's did. That would be a rather serious blow to this mall and would leave just the big box stores to keep things going. But, even if all else fails, you have Barnes & Noble accompanying an Old Navy on one end of the mall, and on the other side of the mall, you have Bed Bath & Beyond and Best Buy. You even have the Buffalo Gift Shop. This gives me a theory. Just about all of these stores have mall entrances, and this could allow for an opportunity where this mall could just limp along almost indefinitely. I think we can all agree that this food court does not clash very well with the rest of the mall. That yellow just looks awful. They attempted to give you something to look at with that thing in the center of the food court, but I honestly think this is just the weakest part of the mall. And that wall opposite from the food stalls, I suppose they at least have something going on to prevent it from looking completely bland, but still, it kind of makes the food court look rather empty. Well, we're just about to come to the end of this video as Ace's Adventures takes me down a side passage. And if you aren't subscribed to Ace's Adventures, well, I invite you to climb out from beneath that rock and at least go give his channel a look. Who knows? Maybe his take on the McKinley Mall will come out soon. Until then, do drop a like for this video and share it if you believe others should see this video. And if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Come subscribe to me and Ace's Adventures as we continue to get coverage on these malls. Any one of these malls could die at any time now.
That Hallmark has like a weird little second mini level.
Additionally, I can be found on Mines and Kofi. I am also setting up a BitChute account in the event that YouTube's new policies play poorly on my end.
It's so crazy. This back here is so dead.
That is pretty damn big for a one-floor Macy's.
Yeah.
Until next time, this is Doomie Grunt, wishing you, the McKinley Mall, and Ace's Adventures farewell and good luck.